Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is great to be in this warm space, ready for Shabbat. Thank you for braving the weather. It's a normal winter day, but when 2 days ago it was 67 degrees, it does not feel so normal.
Yeah.
So it is really special that we are here together. We are here to connect for Shabbat, to connect for community, and really importantly, to connect for Repro Shabbat, for reproductive justice, which we will hear more about in just a moment. First, we'll do what we always do, which is to set our space and our intention to separate Shabbat from the week. So let's take a deep breath in and release. And with this next deep breath, think of that which held you back, that which caused anxiety. Breathe in. And when you release, try to push out the anxiety and the stress. With this last breath, breathe in the sweetness, the joy, the gift of Shabbat. We move into sacred time and space, and we move into beautiful music with the singing of Hine Matov. How good it is to be together on page 10. The version that we'll do is Elena Arian.
Alana Arian.
I say it wrong every time. That's Alana okay. Arian, which we've also been singing on Sunday morning, so many of us know it. Please join in.
If you don't know it, you will know it shortly. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Well, I think a lot of people just learned that song.
They
It's
did.
going to be going through their head maybe all weekend.
I have more earworms for you, don't worry.
We turn now to blessing the Shabbat candles and offering Kiddush. It has become our custom. If you'd like to light Shabbat candles, if you would like to do that, please come forward and join us in that ritual on either side. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And we continue with Kiddush on page 4. The heaven and earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had done. And God stopped on the seventh day from all the work that God had been doing. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on that day, God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lemase v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lemikraye kodesh, zecher letziad mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
Our opening reading is not found in your Siddur, in your prayer book. We cannot merely pray to God to end war, for the world was made in such a way that we must find our own path of peace within ourselves and with our neighbor. We cannot merely pray to God to root out prejudice, for we already have eyes with which to see the good in people if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to God to end starvation, for we already have the resources with which to feed the entire world if we would only use them wisely. We cannot merely pray to God to end despair, for we already have the power to clear away slums and give hope if we would only use our power justly. We cannot merely pray to God to end disease, for we already have great minds with which to search out cures and healings if we would only use them constructively. Therefore, we pray instead for strength, determination, and willpower. To do instead of merely pray, to become instead of merely to wish, that our world may be safe and that our lives may be blessed. And that was by Jack Reamer. I chose that reading because it follows with our theme this evening of Repro Shabbat. We celebrate Repro Shabbat, in which we are partnering with National Council of Jewish Women as a way of bringing the whole Jewish community, not just Cleveland, but all over the country, to talk about what our tradition teaches about reproductive health, rights, and justice. We know that reproductive freedom is a Jewish value. What you might not know is that 1 in 4 people who can get pregnant will terminate a pregnancy by the age of 45. This includes members of our own community for their own deeply personal reasons. There are so many stories in our community that go untold. Our tradition not only permits the termination of pregnancy, but it even requires it when the life of the pregnant person is at stake. We call this kavod habriot, human dignity. And more broadly, we know that building a just society is a primary Jewish concern. With the fall of Roe v. Wade, 40 million people of reproductive age are now trapped in states hostile to abortion access. Those harmed most by abortion bans are Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, people struggling to make ends meet, people living in rural areas, immigrants, disabled people, youth, trans and non-binary people. During a year when abortion access matters more than it ever has in our lifetimes, we at Suburban Temple, Kol Ami, are committed to this work of reproductive freedom and justice. And so tonight, we'll begin sharing with you so many ways that we can bring reproductive justice here in Ohio. It's in a few minutes, not quite yet. It'll be my honor to introduce to you Reverend Ben Guess, who will share with you the ways that we will engage in bringing reproductive justice to Ohio. We call ourselves further to worship with the Baruch Hu. It's on page 28. Please rise in body and spirit.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam vaed.
Page 31, let's read together. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Page 34, 35, we share the watchword of our faith.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha vedibata bam beshivdecha bevetecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafot beinenecha Uchtavtam amezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Page 39. As we prepare for the singing of the Micha Mocha, our song of freedom, we recognize that the way truly to freedom is when we work together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
Nedar b'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Malchutecha ra'u v'necha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze Elianu ve'amru, ze Elianu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai.
This is for our handout, correct? Hashkivenu?
Yes, they're going to have words for the first time in a long time.
So you should have a handout. If not, there are some outside on the Siddur cart, on the prayer book cart. Hashkivenu is a beloved prayer here. It asks for God to provide a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace upon us, whether that Sukkot Shalom, that shelter of peace, is physical as we continue to think of those in Turkey and Syria who truly need a shelter of peace, or spiritual, those of us who are struggling because we need a Sukkot Shalom. We need God to be with us. And so we sing together.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, leShalom. Ve'hamidenu shomreinu leChayim. Ufros aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, ufros aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha.
Page 44. Vishamru is a beloved, which version are we doing?
Debbie Friedman.
Okay. Vishamru is a beloved song. It's also a prayer. The last word in Hebrew, vayinafash, says to be refreshed or to be renewed. And that is the entire goal of Shabbat, that just as God rested, we too rest and are refreshed.
Shabbat, Prasad et Shabbat, Ledorotam, Ritolam, Ritolam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, Oti, Oti leolam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, Oti, Oti leolam. Yisheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayon hashvi'i Shabbat, Shabbat vayinafash.
Page 46. See the word on top, it says tefillah. That actually means prayer. We're already praying. This is a center of our service in which we refocus ourselves. These are the set of prayers in which our rabbis considered probably the most important rubric of prayers. And so on page 46, this is maybe what we would call a mantra to refocus ourselves. And then page 48, the Avot Ve'imahot, reminds us that we stand on the shoulders of our forefathers and foremothers. Page 50 is a prayer about God's greatness, the Givurot. Page 52, another reminder of the sanctity of this day of Shabbat. We're going to chant straight through page 46, page 48, 50, 52. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah, Rav lehoshia. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofech cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, melech meimit umechaye, umatmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Be seated. We continue on page 60, Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav is a prayer for peace. The word shalom, obviously, most of us know, means peace. Rav means abundant. We ask for abundant peace in our hearts, for those who have been denied reproductive freedom, and for those in the world who desperately need peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech hadat lechol hashalom. Lechol hashalom, shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. V'tov be'enecha Amcha Yisrael, bechol et uvechol shah, bishlomecha. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam, tasim leolam, tasim leolam.
There are so many in our lives whom we love who are in need of healing, whether it be a healing of body, healing of spirit, healing from physical wounds, from mental illness. And so we take a moment now to lift them up in prayer. If you are at home, I hope you'll lift up in the chat the names of those whom you love. And as my hand passes over the congregation, I hope you'll share aloud the names of loved ones who are in need of healing on this Shabbat.
Jane, Fred, and Sue.
We join all of those whose names have been shared aloud with the names that still reside in our heart and the names shared at home. For we know that when we join together, prayer to prayer, name to name, that strength gives them just a measure of comfort when needed the most. And we share in our prayer for healing, our Misha Berach. If you need the words, it's the middle of page 253. We sing together. We take a moment for silent prayer and reflection. I'm so excited to introduce to you Reverend J. Bennett Guess, Reverend Ben Guess, who is a prominent activist and minister. He gave me permission to shorten his bio, and even short, it's long, I should let you know. A prominent activist and minister who is the executive director of the ACLU of Ohio and has been since 2017. As such, Reverend Guess heads up a 25-member statewide staff team with offices here in Cleveland and in Columbus. And as we know, the ACLU works to advance political participation, voting rights, the criminal legal system reform, personal autonomy and dignity, greater inclusion and belonging for all Ohioans. before coming to ACLU, and still Ben is an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ, a former national officer and executive administrator in the UCC's national headquarters, which is based in Cleveland. He also served for many years as the UCC's director of communications. In 2014, Ben was a lead spokesperson for UCC v. Cooper, the federal lawsuit that helped bring marriage equality to North Carolina. Reverend Guess is a graduate of the University of Kentucky with a BA in journalism. He completed graduate studies in public policy and administration at Murray State University, has his Master's of Divinity from Vanderbilt and a Doctor of Ministry at Chicago Theological Seminary. I don't know what state you're going to go to next for the next degree. And he was honored for as a distinguished alumni in 2014 at Chicago Theological Seminary for his lifelong public witness for justice and mercy. Ben and his husband, Jim Therian, divide their time between homes in Columbus and Cleveland. And it is such an honor to have you here at Suburban Temple Kol Ami, to have you teach and inspire us about reproductive justice and freedom. Thank you so much.
Shabbat Shalom, and good evening. My name is Ben Guess, and I am the Executive Director of the ACLU of Ohio. The ACLU, or the American Civil Liberties Union, is one of the state's and the nation's oldest and largest defenders of our individual and collective civil liberties. Through litigation, lobbying, advocacy, organizing, and public education and witness, we work to safeguard civil liberties, advance civil rights, and protect fundamental fairness and freedoms for all. With members in Ohio in all 88 counties, and I check once a year to make sure that's still accurate because I'm so proud to say with members in all of Ohio's 88 counties, and with ACLU offices in every state, DC and Puerto Rico, the ACLU has been fighting for freedom and liberty, especially abortion rights, since its founding in 1920. While the Dobbs decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, ending for now the national constitutional right to abortion, was a disastrous blow to individual freedom and bodily autonomy, at the ACLU, alongside countless other organizations and individuals, we do what we have to do and what we have always done. We regroup, we rethink, we renew, and we pick up the fight once again. Currently, thanks to the ACLU of Ohio and our lead plaintiffs, Planned Parenthood and Preterm, we have successfully stayed for now Ohio's draconian 6-week abortion ban, meaning abortion remains legal in Ohio up until 22 weeks of pregnancy. However, this stay is likely still temporary, as an extreme anti-choice Ohio Supreme Court is likely to be able to weigh in soon and stop almost all abortions, no matter the reason, no matter the violence that resulted in the pregnancy in the first place, no matter the emotional, mental, economic, or physical circumstances that impacted the person who is pregnant. This is why the ACLU of Ohio, together with the state's long-standing leading providers of advocates of abortion access, Planned Parenthood, the Ohio Women's Alliance, Pro-Choice Ohio, Preterm, the Abortion Fund of Ohio, New Voices, and URGE, which stands for United for Reproductive and Gender Equity, have joined forces to create a new coalition, Ohioans for Reproductive Freedom, who announced yesterday our intention to bring a constitutional amendment to the ballot this November in 2023 that would explicitly enshrine abortion, pregnancy, and contraception rights into the Ohio State Constitution. Dozens of organizations have already endorsed our coalition, one of the first being RAC Ohio, the Ohio Religious Action Center of Reformed Judaism, and its broad network of community-minded, justice-minded congregations like yours and religious leaders across the state like Rabbi Allison. Thank you. Yesterday, the Ohioans for Reproductive Freedom simultaneously announced with our partner, the Ohio Physicians for Reproductive Rights, our plan to file this proposed ballot initiative next week with the Ohio Attorney General, formally beginning the process to collect hundreds of thousands of signatures. This night, this very hour, attorneys are still gathered with a 7 a.m. deadline to finish crafting the very final language from research and polling that we got back in our last iteration just this afternoon, and readying for printers at 7 a.m. and with drivers ready to bring those petition books up to Cleveland, where I'm going to meet them at my office at noon tomorrow, and we will begin the process of gathering the initial 1,000 signatures, which on Tuesday morning we will deliver to the Ohio Attorney General. You don't know how bad I wanted our timing to work out that I brought those petition books, and the very first few dozen signatures would come from Suburban Temple, Kol Ami. But we'll still find a way for you to get involved. In fact, we hope that you will sign up for our campaign. If you go to the website abortionaccessohio.org, abortionaccessohio.org, that will take you to our coalition website. It might also be easier for you to just go to acluohio.org if you can remember that better. And at the very front, there will be an image there that will say join the fight, and we hope that you will sign up so that we can stay in communication with you and that you can join the very Herculean effort that we will be doing in Ohio, starting once we get past the Attorney General and the Ohio Ballot Board to gather literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of signatures. This will be an effort that will take all of us to make this happen. And as we have seen in 7 out of 7 states that have brought this to the ballot, we know that the people of our state, like other states, will certainly enshrine abortion access into our state constitution when given the opportunity. So that said, I would like to reintroduce myself to you again, as Rabbi Allison said to you, as the Reverend Ben Guess, an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ for going on 33 years now. I served 12 years as a parish minister in Kentucky before moving to Cleveland to work at the UCC's national headquarters here for 17 years. And my current recognized ministry, my authorized ministry by the United Church of Christ since 2017, has been to serve in my role as executive director of the ACLU of Ohio. One of my first jobs following my ordination and graduation from Vanderbilt Divinity School was with Planned Parenthood, working as a faith-based pro-choice organizer in Kentucky, of all places, and in southern Indiana as well. At the first congregation that I served in far western Kentucky, we opened an on-site Planned Parenthood clinic in the church, on the church premises, the first such clinic in that region of the state. I mention that in recognition that my faith tradition has long recognized and supported the right to abortion and full reproductive health care. The National General Synod of the United Church of Christ affirmed in 1971 and since, quote, "The moral and scientific views of when human life began are so numerous and varied that one particular view should not be forced upon society through its legal systems." My tradition, which has 5,000 congregations across this country, with more than 10% being formed before our nation's founding in 1776, has long called and advocated for the repeal of all legal prohibitions against abortion, taking abortion out of the realm of penal law and making medically safe abortion legal and available to all. And that is why my work with the ACLU for abortion rights, for women's rights, for LGBTQ rights, for our voting rights, for criminal legal system reform, and on and on and on, is not just a matter of secular advocacy for me, but how I live out my call and my claim and my faith as a Christian minister in a tradition that teaches the dignity and worth of human beings to make for themselves informed moral decisions that affect their lives, that affect our lives, moral decisions that impact our physical, economic, and relational well-being and the best interest of our family members. And that's why I'm proud to join with you this evening as a person of faith and moral conviction today as we observe this Reproach Shabbat, as called for by the National Conference of Jewish Women, the Religious Action Center, and observant Jews across this land and beyond of various traditions. In an amicus brief to our ACLU case brought last year against Ohio's Senate Bill 23, which was the 6-week abortion ban, 46 religious leaders, clergy and lay, and religious organizations and congregations all across this state, again, including your rabbi, stated to the court, and I quote, "Judaism focuses on the pregnant person's life. The focus of Jewish law is the saving of a soulful life, a person, defined by the word nephesh. A fetus is not defined as a nephesh. Rather, the Talmud recognizes that the fetus is a part of the pregnant woman's soulful personhood, rather than its own soulful being. Therefore, under Jewish law, the pregnant person's life, health, and well-being take precedence over the fetus." That same brief goes on to say, like Judaism, the General Synod of the UCC, my tradition, recognizes a spectrum of circumstances where abortion would be permitted according to a member's conscience and own religious beliefs, but in Ohio would be considered illegal under our most restrictive would-be laws, that is Senate Bill 23. And that same amicus brief, which made the overarching argument that one religious view in our state is being cemented into our state law, neglecting other religious viewpoints which are long-standing and sound. That amicus brief continues, and I quote, "Ohioans' diverse religious beliefs provide different instruction and guidance when faced with potential termination of a pregnancy. Yet instead of allowing people to turn to the tenets of their faith and counsel of religious leaders when faced with the prospect of terminating a pregnancy, Ohio's 6-week abortion ban, Senate Bill 23, prohibits pregnant people from following the teachings of their faith, puts physicians at risk of criminal and civil penalties for providing care to pregnant people that is consistent with both the pregnant person's faith and or the physician's faith, and puts religious leaders in the unthinkable position of counseling congregants, their congregants, that the pathways prescribed by their religious tenets have been made practicably unfillable by the state. This is the exact type of religious restriction that the Free Exercise of Religion Clause was intended to prevent," end quote. That is why we are gathered here as faithful people for this Reproach Shabbat, praying these words offered by Rak, that the arc of the moral universe is long, we know, and sometimes it bends backwards. So we must turn it, and turn it, and turn it again, striving ever onward toward a world built on justice and freedom from all shame. Friends, allow me to introduce myself to you one more time. My name is Reverend Ben Guess, Executive Director of the ACLU of Ohio, an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ, and a proud out gay man and a member of the LGBTQ community, who alongside you seeks to be a lifelong advocate for those who seek full options reproductive health care, including access to abortion. Why, you might ask, would this same gender-loving, cisgender gay man without children care about, even prioritize in my life, the freedom to legally and safely end a pregnancy? Because unless and until you have ultimate control over what you can do with your own body and what is done to your own body, including your sexuality, your reproductive organs, your choice to procreate or not, and your access to information about your sexual well-being, your health, and your options, then you are under someone else's subjugation. And as we are seeing play out now in the wake of the Dobbs decision, an unchecked government aided by the forces of oppressive religion will gladly fulfill that role for you. It's never lost on me that the same persons, organizations, and religious groups that oppose abortion rights are the very same ones who vehemently oppose birth control. They're the ones that oppose safe-sex education. In short, those who are most against abortion have no interest whatsoever in helping you not get pregnant. At first glance, that seems oxymoronic, doesn't it? But on deeper inspection, you discover their real motivation: attacking and impugning all sexuality, no matter its expression. The same crowd that insists that people with uteruses must carry all pregnancies to their ultimate conclusions is the same group that is constantly gutting our nation's safety net programs for the poor and the vulnerable, with young children always the first and worst impacted. Anti-abortion crusaders aren't pro-child, they are pro-patriarchy. Power over women's lives and decisions, that is their ultimate objective. The same people who malign LGBTQ persons as sexually deviant are equally malevolent about women who seek reproductive care, including contraception and abortion. They think they know us. They think they know our stories, and they can label us however they choose. They use their religion to clobber us. They use their sacred text to clobber us. They seek to steal our personal agency, but they cannot, shall not, and will not prevail. All genders, all gender identities of all sexual orientations need and deserve reproductive information and reproductive health care. My husband of more than 2 decades and I made a shared decision years ago that raising children was not something that we were called to do. We have long considered that a deliberate, even sacred choice. Other gay men and lesbians I have known, they have wanted to raise kids for as long as they can remember. And both their decision and our decisions are equally valid choices made in the best interest of our families and of the well-being of all children. Like you, I know women, both married and single, who have decided to continue an unplanned pregnancy. I also know women who have had abortions due to a variety of factors in their life, including the well-being of other children that they have parented. Both decisions are sacred, ethical, and worthy of respect and legal protection. Let's be clear, the judicial overthrow of Roe v. Wade is about restricting access to abortion, yes, but it's rooted in more government control over our bodies, what we can do with our bodies, and how and why and with whom we can make love with our bodies. Ironically, some anti-abortion theorists now want to prevent you even from having children if you want. My now adult niece and nephew were conceived by my sister via in vitro fertilization. That was a reproductive choice on my sister's part that resulted in 2 wonderful, beloved, now adult children. But now, post-Roe, many willing would-be parents fear that in vitro fertilization procedures could be banned under the guise of a pro-life argument protecting all embryos. It is as absurd as it is frightening. Subjugation is the opposite of freedom. Be it patriarchy and misogyny or homophobia or transphobia or heterosexism, those of us who care about personal and bodily autonomy will always advocate for full options reproductive health care, especially today as we see abortion access being severely restricted in state after state, Ohio chief among them. Every attempt to undermine abortion rights should be met with full-throated opposition, most especially from people of faith, from the LGBTQ community, because we of all people know what the real motivation is. On behalf of the ACLU of Ohio, we thank you for your support, for the long-standing, generous support of the Jewish community, particularly in Northeast Ohio, for your support upcoming for Ohioans for Reproductive Freedom and our campaign to enshrine abortion rights into the Ohio Constitution this November. Will you please join our fight, join our mass mobilization? As a religious leader, as a member of the LGBTQ community, I want to remind you that we are not going back, none of us. Thank you for continuing and leading this and all justice work, not despite of your faith, but because of it. Shabbat Shalom.
Ben, thank you. That was unbelievable and so inspiring. I'm inspired by your stole that says, imagine what's possible. And with your leadership, with Ohioans for Reproductive Freedom, did I just call that right? Yes. I do believe that reproductive justice and reproductive freedom is possible. Thank you. It is typical, if you've not been here recently, for Deb to share with us a song immediately following our sermon. We've combined the song and Aleinu because the song that we are singing is on your handout. And it is called Aleinu L'Shabeach because Aleinu is, the word Aleinu means it is upon us, it is up to us to rise up to the task. And most of us think of Aleinu as, oh good, services are almost over. Not quite correct. It is really a reminder that when we walk up to the ark and we open the ark, which is our ritual moment, is our connection with God in our Tikkun Olam partnership. Because with God, we can do this work. We can't rely on God and we can't just rely on ourselves. It is up to us, together with God, to do this work. And we have a call, strong and true, to answer. Please rise.
I didn't have my mic on. I don't want anybody to miss anything. Go ahead, start one more time. you all know it, right? So sing along. It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true, to bring about redemption. It's what we were freed to do. For what's the point of being here if we're not moved to change our ways? Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. We are carrying the stories of the ones who came before. What stories will be told of us when we are here no more? We commit ourselves to action. It brings meaning to our days. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. It's up to us to own the vision. We are an answer to a call. It's up to us to live the words we speak for the benefit of all. It's up to us to bow down deeply. There's a broken world to raise. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise.
We continue now with our time of remembering. Our memorial meditation is found on page 288. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me and the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. On this Shabbat, we remember those taken most recently from our temple family: Joseph, Joey Bauer, Lee Rubenstein. And we remember those whose yahrzeits fall at this season in years past: Celia S. Ansel, Joan Apt, Rebecca G. Barrick, David N. Bressler, Mitchell M. Fried, Nelson Friedman, Robert S. Garson, Mayor Gerson Jr., Bernie Goodman, Beatrice Gray, Charles H. Hamburger, Jerome Harris, Enid Susan Hexter, Isabel B. Jacobson, George N. Kokolatos, Stanley W. Cohn, Kathy Susan Lakritz, Francis Wise Lang, Maynard C. Lee, Marcia Levine, Emil Lowy, Hinda Hermia Massey, Charles Milgram, Anita Nelson, Samuel Newman, Anna Overbeek, Michael M. Ozer, Arthur Edward Pape, Lee Power, Clem Riddle, Rose Schulman, Angelina Silver, Fanny Newitter Stone, Jeffrey R. Waldo, Alfred B. Walzer, Sidney D. Weissman, David Walensky. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn to page 294 for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Please rise in body or in spirit. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uv'yalmechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yithale v'yithalal shemeh dekudesha barechu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Da'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and give comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say together, Amen. Please be seated. It's my pleasure to ask Len Podis to come forward to offer a few words of greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
First, thank you, Rabbi Van and Deb Rogers, for a beautiful and inspirational service. Thanks also to our dedicated Suburban Temple Kol Ami staff, volunteers, and leadership. And special thanks this evening to Tom Gerson for donating tonight's beam of flowers and Oneg Shabbat in memory of Meyer Gerson Jr. And to Reverend Ben Guess, all three of you, thank you for speaking on behalf of Repro Shabbat and reproductive justice. There are also some announcements. Our STKA congregational retreat has been rescheduled for April 15th and 16th. Join us for fun and community at Punderson State Park. Come one, come all. Please call or email Rochelle in the office to register. Also, please order your temple-baked hamantashen. We have a variety of flavors: strawberry, chocolate, apricot, poppy seed, and this year's new flavor, prune. Try them all. The order form can be found in the Temple Times on our website. Pints on Purim is back. This all-adult gathering promises to be the social event of the season. Monday, March 6th, 7 p.m. at Mulligan's Pub and Grill in Highland Heights. Please call or email Rochelle to sign up. We need setup and day of event volunteers for this year's Purim Carnival. Setup is Saturday, March 4th, 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. The carnival is Sunday, March 5th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can call or email Rochelle for more information. Finally, in observance of President's Day, there will be no Our Tent activities this Sunday, and the temple office will be closed Monday. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Wait, I think you have the Kaddish listing there, and I don't think you want that. Len, I think that if we took a vote, you'd be hired to do announcements every week. That was great. Thank you, Len. We have to end with song.
Yes, I think we should sing Adon Olam.
I think we should sing Adon Olam on page 321. Page 321.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Le'ed Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemon Nikra Ve'acharei Giklot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו הפקיד רוחי, בעת תישן והעירה, ואם רוחי גוויעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא.
Please rise in body or in spirit for our benediction, followed immediately by Motzi, and then you will find your challah and anash in the foyer.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
May God bless you and keep you.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך.
May the light of God's presence shine upon you and be gracious to you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך, וישם לך שלום, וישם לך שלום.
May God lift up each one of us, and may God bring us shalom, peace, and wholeness. Amen.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom. And
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our prayer is humbly said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'te'avon and Shabbat Shalom.